Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alt Kings podcast. I'm your host, Tate, with my co-host, Corbin, and today we honestly are hosting the biggest cross-chain project I think I've ever seen in my entire time on Web3, the one and only Potluck Protocol with the founder, True Voodoo.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Those were probably lies about me, but I appreciate the kind words. So
It's not financial advice.
Considering you're on, you said 7 chains, that's a lot.
It is a lot, but it's fun. We always believed in breaking down walls, and at first we started as like chain maxis because we were all on Fantom was where we got our start as a project. And then we realized, especially because we were helping artists sell projects and be successful, and at the end of the day, kind of like on Hedera now, the one issue you have is like we need more people. We have great projects, great collections, but a lot of the work I see, especially from projects like Hangry Barboons, is the work to bring people over cross chain, and that's very important work. And so at first, I think we were like kind of psyoping where we go to, we were like, hey, let's build a community over there, but let's try to bring them back to our home base. And then at some point within a couple months of being cross-chain, maybe even the first month, I realized, man, there's great communities everywhere. There's great, our loyalty is not to a chain, it's to our community, to our holders. And so whatever we can do to not just grow the width of that community, bring in more people, but also the depth and just the value we give to them, the better. And I think when you've got people who are willing to go cross chain, then as a cross chain project, when we came to Hedera, like now we can track the numbers. We can track the numbers of who got wallets of our collectors. And not only have we added new collectors, but we have over 250 people from our community who went to Hedera and got a wallet and minted on Hedera. Well,
That's
250
incredible.
people come across chain into a new ecosystem. They don't just come for us and stay with us. They realize, oh, what are the big projects over here? Okay, let me go pick those up. And it kind of pisses me off because I see so many people that are from our community that are rocking other projects from Hedera's PFPs, but I'm like, I can't blame them. Those are some great projects, but yeah, so I don't think we're experts at anything, but I think that we have tried a lot of things and we've been brave enough to take risks in the space, and some have worked and others have failed, spectacularly. So whether it's learning from our successes or failures, I do think we have value to provide people.
That's great to hear. There's a lot that you guys have going on, and I believe that trial and error is key to any project success because you have to take those risks to see what's going to work and what's not going to work. But I'm curious, where did Potluck Protocol originate? What was the first chain that you started on?
So it actually started as a DeFi protocol on Binance, and our founder, his name was Dracula Presley. I was not a part of the project yet. They started in April or earlier, I think, 2021. And by September, they decided, hey, let's branch out to Fantom. At the time, they just connected with the developers, and it was a growing ecosystem, a lot like Hedera is today, where a lot of DeFi platforms were going there and seeing success and getting support. And so that's where I found it. I found it as just an investor who was there in that space. At that point, I wasn't an NFT guy. I had no following on Twitter. Probably had 200 people that followed me, even though I had Twitter for 10 years because I never posted. But then I got really entrenched in that crypto Twitter family on Fantom and made a big investment. Basically, like I've been very diversified in crypto, and I just cashed pretty much every position out and went heavy on Potluck Protocol's token, FANG, and it took off. It was just the right timing. Plus, I think the ideas behind what the project was trying to accomplish were different, and everything was mooning at that point. And so started making a bunch of DeFi yields. But then I got hooked into this thing called the Tombheads Auction House. And what it was a one-of-one. It was in Discord. And it was where one-of-one artists would sell their art in an auction type format in Discord on the weekends. So they had a Saturday session and a Sunday session, and it was the most fun ever. I mean, the bidding wars were crazy. Like, I mean, in US dollar value, people were dropping like $15,000 on a piece like that because it was all DeFi yield. It was fake
Yeah.
money. It was crazy
Yeah.
time. And I went from just like watching to then making enough on DeFi to where I was the one bidding and winning stuff and just being an idiot with my money, but having so much fun because it was so addicting. And that's where I fell in love with art. I never collected art in my life. I've collected sports cards and, pogs and all types of stuff in the past. So I definitely have that NFT collector um, DNA, I think, built in me. Um, but but yeah, so I started collecting all these one of one artists who didn't have generatives, they didn't have big collections, but they had a huge, like if you were on the chain, you wished you owned one of their pieces. And at the time, there weren't tons of tools out there for like doing your own generative and things like there are today. And so we had built a big, a following. Lots of artists liked us. And my buddy Plot Twist, who helps co-lead Potluck Protocol now, at the time he was just a Fang buyer because I was a Fang buyer, and we were buying. That's Potluck's token. And he has a background in graphic design, and he's like, "Hey, I've got an idea for a generative." And so he showed me, and I was like, "Oh, this is super cool. Let's do it." And then I got all these one of one artists to collab on it. And that was the first time. Nobody did that back then. Like, I mean, on Fantom, there was no artists from other projects coming in and helping. It was just one artist thing. So we had 10 of the top artists all come together, make this awesome collection. And this was like at the peak of Fantom prices. It was like $3 for Fantom. And we sold out an 800 piece collection in like 10 seconds. It was the fastest sellout in Fantom history. We made a ton of money on it. And then we had this awesome community, and we realized, oh my gosh, like all these artists were like, can you help us do that? And so we really had a great time just partnering with artists, helping them build projects. And then what we did was not just help them do the technical side of being able to mint, but we built a whole ecosystem of value where every artist project would be able to passively earn a token called the Labs token, which was able to be used to buy whitelist spots for free mints, for raffles, for merch, for all types of things. We did NFT auctions like that Tombheads auction where you could only bid in the utility token. And we would just basically auction off our own NFTs that we had collected. So we just started doing a bunch to tie it all together. And so now if you come in our Discord, it's like a mega Discord of like 50 projects, because whether or not the artist is still around, we're still committed to providing value for those projects and pushing them forward. And yeah, so we started in December 2021 on the NFT side, which is really what, the main thing we're talking about. And then within a month, we realized, man, we want to break down some walls, go cross chain. And there was one project that led the way in that. And that's the Pink Flamingo, I think Pink Flamingo Society, I think is the name of it. We just call them the Mingos. They're a bunch of Australian guys who were actually in a band together in real life, and they had the first ever bridgeable NFT project. And they started on Fantom. They did AVAX, Polygon, and ETH. It's all one big collection that's connected, and it bridges back and forth. And we thought that was awesome. So because they led the way and went to AVAX first, had good success there, we said, well, let's do that. So we have an artist named Teens on Acid. I'm wearing one of his merch hats here.
Looks nice.
Thank you. He's incredible. And he's honestly been our most successful artist by far, just in sales volume, his community. He does it all. He's incredible. So we did the same thing. We made a collection that was bridgeable between 3 chains, and we launched a third of the collection on each chain. And then it created this awesome arbitrage opportunity because somebody could look at the floor on one chain, and the marketplace we use had all 3 chains on there. So you could go to any of the chains, sweep the floor on one, bridge it to another, and it changes the rarity as you go. So you could take something that's rare or not rare at all on one chain because it has chain specific traits, bridge it to another chain, and then the rarity auto updates, and now you have a top rarity. So it created this gamification of NFTs. It was so fun. And we just started doing that for every project. And that's really what brought our communities together, built a strong community. We have over 3,000 unique wallets on Fantom, over 3,000 unique different wallets on AVAX. And those became our core communities. And eventually we just kind of started doing just those two because we had built such a strong community. So every project we did was bridgeable or traversable. Technology changed over the year, but It just created tons of fun, and it created that DeFi aspect of what we were doing, where arbitrage is a huge thing in DeFi, where you buy on a DEX to sell on a centralized exchange, or vice versa, or different DEXs. You look for those incongruencies in price, and because we started as a DeFi platform, that was important to us. And then another really cool thing that we did connecting DeFi to NFTs is, just like on Hedera, it's very popular because there aren't a lot of DeFi platforms for NFT projects to have a token. And they emit, you get airdropped or whatever, they emit a certain amount of tokens per NFT held, and that's very common. Well, since we already had a DeFi token, we didn't want our utility token to have LP. We didn't want it to have any value on the marketplace, because if you were going to trade, we wanted you to trade our DeFi token. So people could passively earn on every NFT we have. And now in Hedera, it's called H Labs, and you guys experienced. We did that mint yesterday.
Yeah.
But
thank you.
Yeah,
congratulations on the sellout too, by the way.
It went really smooth. Besides the last mint, unfortunately, we weren't able to.
I don't know what was going on with that last NFT. It was like, we only want you to have 9. I don't know what was up with that 10 issue. I had a wallet that was doing the same thing. But yeah, so we had labs being able to earn passively to use in our ecosystem. But then we became the first project, and I still don't know of another project that does this, that actually emitted LP. So we would take a percentage of profits from every mint out as soon as it minted out. And we have a pool called the compounder, which basically you would go in there and you would stake. I'm sorry, the compounders are regular DeFi. It's called the coffin. It's pretty cool. They're like all coffins. So you go bury your NFTs, and for 1 month or 2 months, you would be emitted LP. So it'd be Fantom LP in this case. And then in one click, you could auto stake it. You could take your rewards and stake them in our auto compounder. So now you've been introduced in our DeFi ecosystem, and you're not motivated to sell it because you'd have to go un-LP it somewhere else and do it. So it created this like synergistic relationship between our DeFi arm, our NFT arm, got a lot of NFT holders involved in DeFi, and then vice versa. And so, yeah, I mean, then we came to Hedera because ultimately Fantom pretty much had died out. It's not dead. It's resurgent right now. The price is going crazy like everything. But a lot of the DeFi yields had dried up, which meant when the DeFi yields go away, most of the NFT buyers go away, because that's how they were buying them. And so for us, we have all these artists who have projects and stuff, and it's like, well, you could release them for free, or we have to go to a different chain. So I was talking to Illuminati Congo, who's a big community member on Hedera, obviously on like a million chains. But we became really good friends, and we've released projects together and stuff. He's done Potluck projects, and I would see him post about different chains. So we just had a conversation. I was like, where do you think we should go? And I don't remember the exact words, but what we basically fell on was Hedera is the most like what we're used to. The community is the most like what we would find on Fantom or AVAX, except it's at a much earlier stage in the life cycle of NFTs there. And so that's when we made a decision, like, let's just go over there and let's see what happens. So we came over with illustrations, and we released a free project. Free mint, so it minted out. Imagine that, a free mint.
Wow.
Free mints always do. And so
amazing how that works.
Yeah, and so that was the Reefer Club Sharks, and then we basically had 6 different characters. And what was cool is we just made it so if you held the original and you didn't sell it, you get a free mint of the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And so pretty much people got free mints of all 6 sharks. Or 6 creatures. And then his big collection, the fuckers, I'll mute myself, because FVCKERS.
Yeah.
If you just held all those, you also got a free mint of that one. So we felt like we came to Hedera not to do a money grab. I mean, we've never made any significant money yet. I wish we had on Hedera. But we came trying to provide value. And even that first mint, the floor from a 0 hbar mint, it went up, and there were sales for over 500 hbar. So, we always want to provide value first. But yeah, I mean, we're a business, of course. And so we believe if we make money, if the minters can make money flipping on secondary, and the artists can make money, then that's a win-win-win. If there's ever a climate where we feel like, man, we're not being successful at one, either helping the artists make the money they should make or helping the minters make the money, then we have to pivot. And so we've spent a lot of time. I mean, we've released just from December to now, we've released 8 free collections total.
Awesome.
And so that's not like a big pat on the back. It's like we got to give to our holders who have been loyal and stuck with us. But also, it's a way to grow your community. So when the market is there, you got all these people who are holders now who are loyal to you, and you can capitalize when the time is right. So that's a lot of talking, but it's it's hard to bring like 18-month journey into much more than 10-minute talk. So
definitely understand that. No, I think it's great what you guys are doing, because I kind of see the same route with ours. Although we did a free mint of our Kings list, and that was only 111, and then now they're selling for a couple thousand, which is exciting to see. And now we have our hedera crowns, because we've established our community through our podcast for a couple months. Like, we've been here. Actually, I believe today is the 1-year mark of our anniversary of having the Alt Kings podcast.
Congratulations!
Yeah, appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh. So, I mean, before we even thought of launching our NFT collection, we did the podcast for 9 months straight and just built ourselves a community in hbar, XRP, and a bunch of other cross-chain platforms as well, just to get our name out there and get that exposure, kind of like what you guys do as well. And I think that's a really smart way of going about it, because if you're able to onboard these people into your brand and get them aware of what you're trying to provide, and just provide them more or less free things out the gate nonstop, and they just see all of these great blessings, beautiful art pieces, they're going to stick around. There's no question to that, because if they get free stuff, why not stick around, And so, I mean, it's really smart to establish yourself a community before trying to sell them something. And so I applaud you for that.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it's especially with the market the way it is now. I mean, we've had like a 1-month surge, but you think about, when I say the way it's been now, I'm talking about like the last year, where a lot of people have lost a lot of money. A lot of people were newer. It was their first cycle in crypto, and they didn't sell the top. Almost nobody sells the top. And a lot of them are just bag holding. And what the reason hedera, I don't know if you guys have talked about this in previous episodes, but I really believe when we looked at hedera, I don't know if it's been 5 months, 6 months ago that we started to get involved in hedera, but I see this across multiple ecosystems. And what it is when you have a token, a layer 1 token that's been around for a while, that's established a strong buyer base, very loyal holders, like the hbarbarians, you're going to live or die, with hbar. When you have that, but you have no DeFi. So at that point, there's nothing on DeFi. You had saucer swap, and that's literally it. That means that you're looking for things to do with your hbar while not leaving the ecosystem, which presents a huge opportunity on the NFT scene. And that's why you saw the hbar summer or whatever it was. You saw the crazy
the hedera heat wave.
Hedera heat wave, yeah. So you saw this like crazy surge. And I'm seeing that right now in Canto, another network. It's a network that's been around for a few months. Like, it's been around maybe since August, but it's the NFT scene didn't even have really a marketplace till like a month or two ago. And so it's very much in its infancy. Well, earlier this week, it did over $1 million USD volume in a day, which was number 2 to anything but ETH. And this is a network that, like, I mean, if you get on there, the marketplace is like it's been down for like 2 days because it just got overloaded with too much. But what you saw was that volume came because there was a few OG collections, and those OG collections ballooned and went crazy. And who knows if it was wash trading or what, but it attracted volume. And then now there's probably like 50 projects trying to mint a day on there. And so it's the same thing that happened on hedera, where it's a blessing and a curse. You get all this volume, all this attention, but then at the end of the day, you don't have enough sustained volume to keep up with the amount of projects that are happening. And I feel like that's what happened to us. We got into hedera seeing that, okay, we see this ecosystem, we see the opportunity, and we honestly were like a month too late to capitalize on anything, because it would already got to that point where the community is starting to get mad at each other because they thought the prices would go up forever on all these NFT collections. At the end of the day, it comes in cycles. It's like waves in the ocean. Big wave comes in, it recedes, and then hopefully another big wave. And that's what happened with Hangry. A big wave had come in the summer, it receded for a while, but then there was a big project that did it right and had the hype and, had the whole community behind it. And so it was a massive wave. And then some other projects maybe try to capitalize on it, but then it goes back out because at the end of the day, you suck up that much liquidity in one project. Well, then, it can't be there for all the others. And so I think it's important for people to just understand those life cycles with any project. Like even with Hangry or any of these, you look at the floor price and it hits peaks and then it recedes for a while. And you just have to ask yourself, like, do I sell when it's down or do I believe there's going to be another wave? And if you've got a reason to believe there's going to be another wave because the founders are involved, the plan is sound, then you stick with it, man. You don't sell. And so that's what I hope for our people, holders of our projects. I hope they always see that, man, we're not going anywhere. So there's going to be another wave, anytime it's down. So
definitely. Yeah.
The ebb and flow of the ecosystem, so to speak.
Yeah.
So what have been some of your biggest challenges in essentially being in 7 different chains? Sure, that's a lot of information you have to keep up with. You got to keep up with the news of the chains and all that stuff. But what have been some of your biggest challenges that you faced?
Yeah, I think for us, it's hard to nail it down to one big challenge. There's a
more
few.
than one thing.
All right, so a few challenges. One is every time you go to a new chain that's smaller, you have people who it's the insiders versus outsiders. We had this on Hedera. There's still big projects on Hedera that won't talk to us, like they're because you're threatened by anybody outside. So it's like we have to protect us, and that mindset of protecting yourself at the cost of supporting others has never been something that I've done, but it's a common on lots of chains. So you always have to prove you're there with the right intentions and things. And the smaller the ecosystem is, the more territorial and tribal it is. Especially true of Hedera because it's different, because it's a hash graph, because, people are really betting on it as just like they are with lots of layer ones. Layer ones have maxis and that's what happens. So we definitely faced a lot of that, which is, something you just work really hard. And luckily we have people like Sai from Hedarian Dragons, and we have Meta Zombies, and we have some of these other projects that would give us the time of day, talk with us, see what our heart was, and then, help build together. We provide value to them, they provide value to us, and it's a win-win situation for holders of both projects. So that's always that was true when we went to AVAX. That's true when we came to Hedera. But then the opposite is true when you go to big chains with that. Like if you go to ETH, nobody's got an insider versus outsider. There's like 1,000 projects that launch a month on ETH, so it's like being in a noisy bar or like a club or something where it's crazy loud. And you think about having a conversation with someone right next to you, like yelling in their ear, you can communicate. But when you're going to a chain where you don't know anybody, it's like walking into a club, no one. You see someone from across the room and you try to yell your point across to them. You're like yell message. It's never going to get through. Yeah. And so like when we never launched on Sol, but we looked at the volume there. Sol had a surge where it was just, taking a lot of ETH's volume and it was going crazy. So obviously there's a lot of opportunity there. You realize, man, if we launch a half decent successful project, I mean, it could be a game changer financially. It could bring a massive amount of users to our ecosystem, supporting all projects. It's the same with ETH. But you just realize that, man, it's very hard to gain traction. You have to basically do pay to play on most networks where you pay influencers, you pay projects to shill your stuff. And it's very hard and expensive to win that way. And it's still not guaranteed. And we never like to play that game. We like to build genuine relationships. And it's probably to our detriment that we've never been willing to play the game to win on those chains. But it's been a strength on all the other networks. So I would tell you, it just depends on the chain. You go to small chains, you got the insider versus outsider. You go to big chains, and it's like, man, will anybody even hear our message? It doesn't matter how much value you have brought. Same, like people don't care what we brought on Fantom and AVAX when it comes to Hedera. They're like, well, what have you brought here? And that's a normal thing to ask.
Sure.
But like on ETH, it's such a big playing field. Those projects, like if it's a half decent project on ETH, it's probably got like 1,000 ETH in trading volume, which will be more than like all of our projects combined, because the amount of money that is. And so They don't care what you've done or how many holders you have on other networks because you haven't played in the big leagues yet, in their opinion. So I think those are the biggest things. And then also people who don't understand, like it takes time for people to understand what we are because we're not a launch pad, just like here launching projects and we're gone. It's weird to see something where you've got different artists and they all have their own, own leaders and own everything, but they're all part of our ecosystem. And that's kind of sometimes hard for people to wrap their heads around because they've never seen it before a lot of times.
How do you explain it to people?
Poorly, probably. No. you know, I just say we're an NFT brand that helps artists build projects that have like an ecosystem of value, which means they have utility, they have a roadmap, they have a community built in. We have almost 7,000 holders now. And so when somebody mints any Potluck project, they not only don't have to worry about, well, what if this artist disappears tomorrow? They know that, man, we've got the Potluck community behind us. I'll give you an example. We had an artist that we brought in from Web2, awesome painter. It was his first NFT project, and it was when the market was good. And he made a bunch of money. He did well, made a bunch of money. And then about a week after, he couldn't handle seeing like people flooring the stuff because whatever. Like that was just weird. His whole life he's sold art pieces to people who wanted to own them and put them on their walls.
Yeah.
So now you have all these people dumping the project and like all this different stuff, and he just couldn't handle it. And he's like, "Man, I'm out. I tried it. I'm out." Well, we had a roadmap, we had all this stuff because we never have someone just come in, do one project, and then bounce. That's not the plan.
Yeah.
Well, so with that, what do we do? So what we did was first we gave them all a free mint of a different project by a different artist. And then we had someone else come in and kind of retool and go a different direction. And we allowed people to burn the original ones to get this new one. So they had multiple chances at free collections, essentially, when that artist bailed. And so, for us, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just understanding that we're not there just to like try to release a project and then do a whole new project the next week that we spend a week on. But like in the bull market, we are releasing projects like every week because you have one artist who spent 3 months on this project and he's ready to release. And you have another artist who's done the same thing. And just understanding that instead of oversaturating the market, some people think that, oh, you guys are just oversaturated. Like all these people are going to release their projects anyways. That was all going to market.
Yeah.
Now you just have a project going to market that actually has a community, a team behind it, utility behind it. So it's not just art and then hopefully it becomes something, but it's art that's awesome and then also has a utility system behind it.
Sure.
That's really good structure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. How big is your team actually?
It's pretty big, and this is part of why we're able to accomplish what we are. We've been blessed to have with Potluck. We've had the same core team of mods, and I don't even know if mods doesn't even encompass all that they do, but we've got 4 guys who handle everything from videos and graphics to everything in all their discords, to Twitter, to anything we need basically. And we've had the same 4 guys the whole time I've been with Potluck. We had the same 4 guys for like a year and a half. It's been awesome. And so having that backbone of support that we never have to worry about anything is incredible. And then there's 4 of us right now on the core team, and that's myself, Dracula Presley, who's like the founder of Potluck and the head of the DeFi side. And then we have Plot Twist, and he handles all the artists. He handles tons of stuff. Like he does the art, like even for those hash onis, he was the one doing the art on that. He does a lot of the graphic work, and then he basically helps our artists do everything. All the generation, all the tweaking, all the changes that need to be made, fixing things on their stuff. I mean, that's what he does, and contract creation some. And then we got another guy named Edge Technician who he's got some projects of his own as an artist, but he's incredible web dev, does Solidity stuff too. And so he helps with website contracts, a lot of the DeFi stuff and NFT stuff we're working on. So there's 4 of us that are pretty much all full-time, 24/7. And then, 4 people on the mod team, and then other people that's like outsourced. So like Solidity devs, you pay hourly or per project and stuff like that. So
sure. Nice. What would you say?
Yeah.
What would you say the best chain or what would you say the chain that you've onboarded the most people from would be?
About to say this is a trap. Hedera. We onboarded. I mean, we have the most unique wallets. It's almost a tie now between Fantom and AVAX, but that just comes based on how many projects we've done there in our time there. I think for me, the three chains that I like the most are Fantom, AVAX, and Hedera. All those based on both the community. AVAX is the only one that I haven't really done any DeFi stuff in. Just been really involved with the NFT community. But Hedera and Fantom and now Canto, I do a lot of DeFi on there. But pretty much like I've mentioned before we were recording, for the last 6 months or so, all my DeFi gains on Fantom, I just sell them and then go make some LP on Saucer Swap and farm me some more sauce and hbar, and then waste it all on NFTs. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't even think it's been 6 months. I need to look at the timeline, but maybe it was August or so when we came to Hedera. But I looked and my wallet will have over 500 Hedera NFTs now in 6 months. So we're doing my part.
Yeah, you're collecting. That's for sure.
Yeah, it becomes a problem.
Gotta get
we need like an NFT anonymous group.
Yeah. No, that's it. I mean, even yesterday, I just took the little bit of profit from the people who minted with hbar, and we swept Illustration's new collection. I swept 9 of those this morning because at the end of the day, if I am looking at, well, should we cash out this money and take it, or should we reinvest this back into the project so that they're and you can't like artificially hold up your floors because you don't have like endless money, but it's like, if you want to reward those holders and you want to get some attention on a project, sometimes that's what it takes, is just to take profits and, add them back into the project essentially.
Yeah,
so
definitely
that's what we did.
Yeah, congratulations on that Hash Onus collection sellout. The art on that is great.
It's fun.
Yeah, very fun.
It's there's a guy, his name is Nature Boy, is his Twitter, and he came up with the original Onis. They were called Optimistic Onis. And it was one of the first, not first, but like early on traversable project between 7 chains or 6 chains. And so he did it as a free mint originally on all these chains, and I didn't discover it when it was free. I basically started buying it, on secondary as soon as I saw it. I just thought they were awesome. I bought like 100 of them probably across chains and was really hoping it would blow up. It didn't. But we loved the art and everything. And I was basically like a whale in it and reached out to him. And he like just was the idea guy and didn't really have a desire. He's like a pro skater, had no desire to like continue doing the work it takes to continue the community. And I had some ideas on what we could do with the Onis. And so since then we've redone them, like changed the art, revamped them, and I think they look way cooler now. I think these Hash Onis are probably the coolest. But we've launched them on 4 more chains. And so those things are on like 10 or 11 chains now in different variations.
That's incredible.
And they're truly probably the most cross-chain NFT brand out there, and people don't know it. So just a little piece of history on it. So
the more you know.
We thought that'd be cool because it's easy for us. Yeah, it's easy for us to redo them. I say that it takes plot twist, probably quite a bit of work, but just tell them the idea, and it's easy for us. We try to do them as either utility mints or like with our token or something free to just give back or to build our brand in those communities. And so, but I think they're awesome art. They make great PFPs. If people like the creamies, that type of like happier go lucky look, the Onis are a little more badass. So they got swords and stuff.
How much H Labs does like each NFT project on Hedera receive per like NFT? Where do you see the future of Potluck Protocol on Hedera?
Yeah, so a little bit of alpha. We're building the first auto compounder for Hedera that will work with the dexes. I got to talk to Lehman.